What's up, YouTube? I am now about to show you my hero deck profile. I want to let you know in advance that I am filming this right after my 6 Samurai deck profile, and I used some cards from the 6 Samurai deck in here. So I had to quickly rethrow this together. I've actually had this deck going on for a while, and I've been doing a lot of playtesting on Duel Links Network. I also want to let you know that I probably feel worse now, 5 minutes later, from the filming of my 6 Samurai deck profile, so I'm going to ask for an excuse for any coughing or general sickliness, I suppose. I don't know, I guess I'm making up words now, but let's just get right into the deck profile. We've got one Stratos, Searcher, pretty obvious. I don't know, Stratos is Stratos. Next we've got triple alias, more obviousness, hero engine. I run the one Crusader of Endymion, and some of you may say, but why, Zach? Why not run Evocateur Chevalier, the fire Gemini that lets you go into Nova Master and is searchable by Rhoda? Well, my answer to that is I run both. The reason I run both is this deck does terrible in top deck mode. That's not to say that all decks do bad in top deck mode, because they all do worse. But this deck especially, since it only runs 10 monsters, or at least my variant only runs 10, if I'm in top deck mode, I want to be guaranteed that I want to increase my odds, even by one card, that I'll draw a monster. So I also run the Endymion. He's also great for Miracle Fusion into Shining. And then, I do like going into Nova Master, so I also run this, Searchable by Rhoda, which I really like. I just decided to run both, and they're both targets for Gemini Spark along with Neos Alias. So it's not like it's bad anyway. Next we run Double T-King, more obvious anti-meta type stuff. I'm looking for another gold one if you've got one, just because I've got one and it's mismatched. I've got 2 common, but I'd rather run the gold. So, yeah, 2 T-King, just stop searching. Once you've searched, you want to summon him. You've duality'd and everything. And then he also makes some rank 4s. Every card in this deck except Barbaros is level 4, capable of making the exceed, so 8 of your 10 monsters. So yep, T-King is always good because it stops other exceeds and synchros. Next we run Double Barbaros because this is a skill drain deck. I want to mention, by the way, Ryo, his negation effect for blah 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 inherent summons, special summons, is able to work under skill drain since tributing is a cost. I just figured I'd mention that. Anyway, Double Barbaros because this is skill drain. That's the 10 monsters. Next we'll do spells, I guess. Triple duality because you need the pieces of the puzzle. So duality helps you get there. It also really helps consistency. So I run double duality. 2 Miracle Fusion, looking for a third. If you've got one, I'll put it right there. Also looking for another Ultra instead of this rare one. This is beat to hell. Looking for, yeah, but anyway, Miracle Fusion, obvious. You go into pretty much half your extra deck that way. Along with Super Poly, just a one-of in this deck because you have to discard to use it, but the fact that they can't respond to its activation is really helpful. So you pretty much use this against everything except Dark Worlds and Inzectors, and then you can even, if it's first game Inzectors, if they go into Zen mains, then you can use it because they send to the graveyard, not destroy, so it helps get over Zen mains. I think that's the one that's annoying. Next we've got Searching, which is a Rhoda, double E-Call. Best first turn is to draw this and a bunch of support traps, maybe a Gemini Spark. Then you search Stratos, hopefully Stratos' effect goes off, and you search Alias. And then you can use Rhoda late game, maybe, just to search your fire guy, the Gemini. We run 1 Lance. I've got the other right here. It's just not as good as I thought. It's good in certain decks, just not as good in this deck as I thought. It's as good as a one-of, just for quick protection of maybe Shining or something. But I don't have the room for it. I'd be running 42, I think, if I ran the second one, so I decided not to. Next, almost everything in this deck is very chainable in terms of quick play spells, anything you'd set. So we run 3 Gemini Spark. Also, if they try to bottomless your Alias, you can use it. So, in general, a pretty helpful card. It definitely helps define like mirror matches, in my opinion. I run 1 heavy just because the guy that topped Long Beach also ran this, and I thought at first, like, that's absolutely ridiculous if you're running skill drains. But what he said was that nobody ever sees it coming in the skill drain decks, and I totally agree with that. I don't run Mystical Space Typhoons just because we've got the Gemini Sparks, Triple Spark, which is plenty, I think. It's like running Triple MST plus you draw 1, so it's also a draw engine. But Heavy Storm just helps clear anything. It's also good first turn if you get it. And then we've got the other staples, which would be Book of Moon, Dark Hole, and Monster Reborn. I feel that's pretty obvious. I actually ended up taking out the second Lance for the Book of Moon. I didn't have it in originally, but Book I feel is more helpful than Lance. Next we'll go on to traps. I think that's all we got left. We got the double Hero Blast. Hero Blast, great card this format since everything almost is under 1900, including Exceeds. So Hero Blast is definitely helpful. You get back your Alias. You recycle a lot of cards, so even though you only run 10 monsters, you run 3 Searchers, so that's like 13 monsters. You run double Hero Blast, that's like 15. You run the Monster Reborn, that's like 16. And the Miracle Fusions just like add up to new monsters, so even if they're in the grave, you're okay. This deck would suffer from removal, Macrocosmos being the only main problem. It doesn't, I'd say Macrocosmos being the main problem, because Dimensional Fissure really doesn't hurt this deck. Like, if your opponent goes Dimensional Fissure, then you can just Exceed, and since Exceed materials aren't technically monsters, they're still sent to the graveyard, which means you can make use of them with Miracle Fusion. So you could actually side D-Fissures if you wanted to. I'm not sure. I'm just, like, rambling on. Sorry. Next we got Double Skill Drain. I felt 3 I would just draw too often. It's kind of inconsistent with 3, so 2 is much more consistent. Then you side the 3rd for your Inzectors and your Windups. Dino Rabbit, it's helpful, but not as helpful. I'd rather have, like, Super Polys and stuff. So yeah, double Skill Drain. Next we run Solemn Brigade, which is double Warning, Judgment, so 3 guys. I feel that's pretty standard. Next we have double Torrential. It's great early game. Also helpful late game, just because Torrential is Torrential. I also run double Compulsory. No Bottomless, just because I feel Compulsory is more chainable. It's all in all a better card in my opinion, just because it's better for Exceeds and Synchros, but mostly Exceeds since it's all that's going around this format, and they can't really stop it, so that's really helpful. We do the Deep Prison for the monster removal. Should have a second, but instead Mirror Force, like I explained during my 6 Samurai deck profile, which I will have a link to in the bottom, or like in an annotation, something like in a box right there. I don't know, if I don't, comment down below, rate, but still rate well, just leave a comment or message me or something, I don't know. But yeah, standard monster removal, this deck's got it. And then we've got this Starlight Road. This deck needs this. It's great protection from like heavy. My opponent's 2 Torrentials, his Dark Hole, his Black Rose that he doesn't go into anymore because that card is totally tanked in value. But yeah, so I think it's like 41. It might be 42 if I get the 3rd Miracle Fusion. So how about guys? But I don't have a problem playing 42. I just don't want to go over that. I prefer to stay at 41 actually. So now we'll go into the extra deck, which is 15 of course. We run double Shining, a hero and a light, and then he gains 300 for each remove from play hero. So he's usually like at least 29, sometimes 32. Really helpful card. And then when he's destroyed or sent from the field to the graveyard, not destroyed, you get back up to 2 heroes. So that's really helpful. He recycles heroes really well. We've got Nova Master. He's a hero plus fire. I feel like that's pretty obvious. I talked about him earlier. Usually you'll Super Poly into him. You won't Miracle Fusion into him as often. Great Tornado. Same. You'll normally... But this... I'm now spazzing out. But Evocateur Chevalier does help give more playability to every fusion monster in your deck. So most of the time you'll super poly into these guys, the Nova Master, Great Tornado, and also Gaia. Gaia being the Earth one. And then Shining you'll actually Miracle Fusion into. And then obviously we run 2 Absolute Zeros just because we side in the water guys. 2 Penguin Soldiers I'd like to side in. I don't have a side deck made to show you, but I would side 2 Penguin Soldiers. So then I can make him with Miracle Fusion, but then he's mostly a super poly guy, game 1. Next we run the Dragon Knight Draco Equeste. Since people aren't running fusions as often, I'm almost tempted to take him out, but with Starlight Road, I feel like it'll make use of Super Poly. And he's also, you know, not a bad card, so I like to, if I got the room, I'll keep him, but I don't know, like, what I want to change. Feel free to make suggestions down below. Also got the Chimera tech for sided Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragons are still good because you can go into Shining with them. Stardust for the Starlight, you know, it's a +1 if you got the Stardust, so that's helpful. Or not a +1, but yeah, it is +1. Next we got Utopia Ray for when Utopia runs out of materials, or if you want to go for like an insane comeback. We run the Utopia, don't go into it that often. I actually need to make room, or get a second Blade Armor Ninja. Just, like I said, 6 Samurais, you make use of them. Heroes make really good use of them. Excuse me. When he's not under skill drain. So, otherwise he's just 2200. And then Wind Up Zenmeister should be another Blade Armor Ninja. If you got one for a reasonable price, I want it. But other than that, yeah, that's about it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please rate, comment, and subscribe on it below. I love to hear what you have to say. I always read the comments. And thanks to all the subscribers I currently have. I just figured I'd thank you now. We still have like binder updates and pack openings coming like later this week. I'll probably film them like now and then post them later. You know, I'm gonna post this later. Anyway, more rambling. Just, you know, do what you gotta do. Thanks, YouTube.